Hey everybody, a couple of days ago I've posted a video, I've uploaded a video where I showed how to solve the tasks of finding the even or odd numbers in Pascal. Today we're gonna continue our survey into the world of school grade homework. 11th grade homework, and today we'll try to sort the one-dimensional array called x and rewrite all the elements in the order they follow each other, except for the fact that we're gonna place the even numbers before the odd numbers, starting from the first index, or zero index in our case. So let's start by declaring the array x. Well, to be clear, I'd like to declare our constants as we always do here, that constants that display our indexes for those elements stored inside of an array. So the x array is gonna be our array from first to last of integer. Let's say we're working with integers here, like placing the begin end brackets as always. It's needed to compile our program without any error, so pressing Ctrl F9 to compile. Well, and first before we've compiled and the file, let's save it as maybe, well, to be clear, I've already had a file called task4, so I'll just open it up, and I've already had those tasks translated. I've already had the tasks translated, but we'll start from the beginning. And we'll erase those lines I've already written here. So I've got a one-dimensional array. What we'll have to do here is to rewrite the x array in the following manner. Write one after another, one by one, into the x array. First even numbers and then the odd numbers, sorting them in the ascending order. That means that from the first element we'll be increasing the values each time another value appears inside of the array in the following index. So let's probably try to do this by sorting the array first. So let's try do this so if we got numbers like 1, or maybe from the index, if we say we've got an array that has 4 elements, let's say 4 elements for our array will be displayed like this, and the values are gonna be in the descending order that we'll need to sort by the ascending order. So let's say this element's gonna store a value of 0, this element's gonna store a value of 2, this element's gonna store a value of 1, and this element's gonna store a value of 3. That's probably a random order, not the descending order, but for the purpose of our task, that's probably fine. We'll need to test this on any collection of values, so we'll probably want to sort this by changing the actual position of each value. So this is going to be the index to the left and the value is going to be to the right. So, well, what I think is the most relevant case here to solve this task is to use like insertion or maybe swapping method within the neighbor values. So we'll scan from last to first if the value is greater. So if the value is smaller, so swap those elements. So the second step will be to swap an element under the index 3 or 2. We'll have here like 2, and here we'll have a value like 0 because we've swapped them, because we moved like this value here and this value here. Well, now we'll probably want to continue our stuff, and the next step will be to place or maybe use the same method to swap the elements that are neighboring the 0 value of 2, like the second index. So we say it's gonna be in a descending order from last to first indexes, and so current indexes are gonna decrease the current index by 1, and this will allow us to place the value 0 in the ascending order where it should be. Like, let's try now to, so now our current index is gonna be, our current top index is gonna be 2, and our neighboring index to swap, the low index is gonna be 1. So now we've got a 0 value under the index 2, and at the index 1 we've got an error index. At the index 1 we've got a value like 1, and now we can swap these two values. So the 0 is probably bigger than 1, and we swap them. Right, so the next step is gonna be to swap the values, the left values that are inside of our array, they're stored inside of our array. So we swapped like the 0, and we're placing the 0 at the first position, and we swap them like this. So our 0 becomes the first number inside of our array, or if you want, it may be like the 0 element of our array under the index 0. Not the first, but the element under the index 0. So I'll probably need to repeat these steps for each element inside of our array. So it's gonna be 2 for loops. So we'll need a for loop, like the 2 for loops for this. Let's say ni is an iterator value that we'll use to iterate through our indexes, and let's use our k variable, a new k variable, to iterate through our count of the times we replace our indexes. So I think for this purpose we'll need to repeat those steps the amount of times that the elements inside of our array, that the amount of the elements inside of our array. So let's declare a constant called amount equals 11, and for I equals first to remember that we try to replace our elements in the descending order, so we start by assigning the last index to our I variable and down to descending order down to first. So begin end, and then this step will have to repeat like the amount of times. So let's say k equals, so let's well, we don't really need the amount variable here because we can just place the last to, or maybe first to last, count of times, number of times, and we won't really need the amount variable here. So let's tab this up, tab this right, so let's check if we're okay at this point, and Ctrl F9, press the Ctrl F9. Down to first is probably not working because expected do, because we'll need to place the do operator here. So let's Ctrl F9, it also doesn't do operator, so that's probably fine. Well, right, so let's say I press the Ctrl F9 one more time, and let's declare a temporary variable, so where we will store our value, swapping the value of the first element to initialize it, or maybe not initialize, but to assign the value of the second element to the first element, and then the temporary variable will assign the value of the temporary variable to the second number. So we'll swap those two numbers using the temp variable. So let's say temp equals temporary variable equals last, or maybe also current. The last is the current, is our current. Oh no, the E index is our current. So let's, you know what we'll do here? I'll just put this a name of current instead of an I to be able to read this as a normal text, not just as a symbol. So the temp equals x current index, Ctrl F9. Well, probably everything's fine here. And we'll need to do this only if the value of the current variable, the value of the current array value is greater, or no, smaller than the value that is smaller by the index by 1. We'll also need to do this down to first minus 1, because the last index minus 1, well, I mean the plus 1, because the next element minus 1 will throw us an error at the last element, because there's no element under the index current element minus 1 if the current element is the 0, if the current element's index is 0. So we use the syntax down to first plus 1, and this will allow us to iterate through the array from the last 10 index until the first index without the 0 index, because here we were trying to find the preceding element inside of our array, and if there is no such index -1, then there's an error. So that should be clear. Let's say we press Ctrl F9, and there's also an error because I've forgotten to place the then statement. Ctrl F9 compiled, probably fine. Alright, so we've declared the temporary variable for our swapping purposes, and now we can assign the value of the second element to our first element, and then the second element is gonna store the value of the first element if it's smaller than the second element. And let's try to press Ctrl F9. So let's say our array is gonna store values of, let's initialize our array by using the syntax like from the first to last. Or maybe also we want to do this in the descending order, or maybe ascending order, like from the last to first, and assign the value of the index to our array value. So let's also show our array. Let's display our array on the screen first. So let's write the value. Let's write the actual value that's gonna be stored inside of our array. Let's say it's next k, and add some separator here. Right, let's Ctrl F9 and F9 to run the program. F9 to run the program. And what's probably wrong here? What's wrong here? I don't know what's the problem. It's just not running, just not. Oh, it's probably not between the compilation successful. There's no output. That's really strange. It's really strange. Oh yeah, no, I know what's happening. We forgot to place the down to, because if we say 2, it's not gonna iterate in the descending order from 10 to first, from 10 to 0 index. And we can now press Ctrl F9, and let's see if we got those elements placed right. So yeah, so we probably got these elements. Let's use the right line operator here, the function right line, to better see what's happening here. Yeah, and after we've, well, I don't like to copy the code because it's better to not to copy the code and to use functions, but for the sake of saving our time, we'll just copy the code to display this after we've tried to sort the array. Well, for our task that I've mentioned, the this isn't just right to use the down to from last to first, but we'll need to we want to store the values, the opposite values. So not to use the k, but to use the last minus k. The value is gonna be the last minus k. So let's try to run it. Control F9 and let's just comment the result. I don't wanna know if we've done everything's right here. Let's just test the initial condition. Let's just test this. Let's just test this. And yeah, from 0 to 10, everything's fine there. Everything is fine here. So yeah, the order is normal. The order is like reversed. The order of the values is reversed considering the indexes to the indexes. The values is the reverse value of the index. And everything is fine here. Now we can just comment this line. We can uncomment this line. And for our comment, we can use this to write what we need here. Let's say right line, display the result. To better understand what's happening here, let's write the result. And the result is 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. We're probably not doing everything correctly here because I've forgotten to place the temp, the first value of the first value. I mean, the preceding value of the first value to be replaced under the index that is following the first index. I mean, under the value. So I've just probably forgotten that we'll need to place the temporary variable value inside of the second value. So I've corrected this and Control F9, and we've probably sorted those numbers as they should be. Like, this is the reversed order, and we've reached what we need here. We've sorted the array, and by using the temporary variable and the swapping method, we've sorted the array. So what's left to do here is just to try to use the same swapping method, but to replace those numbers that are even by the old numbers if they are placed not in the right place. Just maybe to replace those numbers that are in the wrong place by using the swapping method. Or we can also try to use another method, but I like the swapping method. I just like the swapping method. And let's try to do so. So we'll use the same for loop, but this time only if x car mod. But let's add another condition. So let's say we're placing the numbers down if the x car is an odd number. So let's say if it's an odd number, then and if x squared is an even number, -1 is the following. If the following element is the even number and the first element is the odd number and the second element is the even number, we'll swap them. We'll just swap them. Let's try to do so and display the result as well. The resulting array is gonna be to the end of our file, and here we're just sorting the array. Well, let's see. Let's press Ctrl F9. Something is wrong here. Equals 0. Not equals 0. Equals 0. Well, let's try to divide our lines by the expression. Let's try to divide our lines by the expression. And Ctrl F9 compilation. This line is wrong here. What could be wrong here? The remainder of the division by 2 equals 0. Oh, I know what's wrong here. It wants us to put inside of the round brackets, the expressions inside of the round brackets. Yeah, so those expressions should be like placed in the round brackets because each condition displays the boolean like condition, and we need to use this as a whole. So this operator AND accepts 2 boolean expressions, and this is the boolean expression only if we placed like the round brackets around it. So once we've placed the round brackets around it, it's a whole united boolean expression. So that's it. Well, let's now try to compile this Ctrl F9 and see if it worked. So it probably worked. We've just done everything right here. Probably. I did not expect that. Really, I did not expect that, but seems like everything's working fine here. Well, it's like first goes our odd numbers and then even numbers, maybe except for the fact that first should have been the even numbers and then should have been the odd numbers, but that's not really hard to replace. I mean, it's not to correct. That's not really hard to correct. Let's just replace the current and the current -1 element and Ctrl F9 and F9. And yeah, this is like it. Everything works pretty much fine. The first numbers are even and the second numbers are odd. That's it. That's probably it. And here's the code. Here's the code for you to see the whole bunch of it. I maybe wanna kind of get off this sorting line. Well, let's comment this out. Not just delete, but comment this out. It can be useful in the future. So this is the whole code. This is the code. Yeah. It's pretty much it. So see you in the next lesson. If it has been helpful for you, then place a thumb up to this video, and I hope to see you next time in the next lesson, and good luck in the world of programming to begin and to continue to explore this world of programming. I hope you'll get by and made some success in it. Yeah, good luck.